So I like humans. Who here is human? Go ahead and raise your hand. Everybody human? Human. 3 orange whips. Orange whip. Orange whip. That's from the Blues Brothers. I also like machines. I'm a geek. So I know a lot of you, I say this with pride. It's a compliment if I call you a geek or a nerd. That's cred you have to earn. I love machines. I've been writing about technology and the intersection of technology and culture since about 2005. But right now in Maricel, again, I thought your opening was so helpful because you actually had a picture just like this one. This is not an exaggeration or hyperbole to say that we are genuinely in a unique point in human history. In terms of artificial intelligence, I talked about a lot of this stuff in the front end of my song, but there's this idea of what's called the singularity, which Ray Kurzweil, who's now a Google brilliant guy, thinks could actually happen by 2029. That's not too far from now, where machines gain sentience, where it means machines actually could have a consciousness. So why I say there's a gap is I believe in my research and work with ethics, well-being, happiness, we have clarity right now of where we stand as humans and where our machines sort of begin and end. And that may sound obvious. You're like, well, yeah, that's a phone, that's a toaster, that's Bob, right? But here's what I mean. A lot of these arguments and discussions about artificial intelligence, in one sense to me, is kind of semantics. You know, it was 2050 when machines took over, not 2048. My toaster's killing me. Who cares, right? I put this picture here because I write about technology and well-being. You'd think I wouldn't do this, but I have 2 kids, 12 and 9. And I can't tell you how many times I have done this. Raise your hand after I do this if you've also done this. I'm looking on my phone, probably at Facebook, like at cat videos, right? Which drain your soul anyway. So I'm looking at a cat video and my son is over playing a video game. And I go like this, Nate, get off the screens, buddy, off the screens. All right, let's go off the screen. You've had enough screen time. Enough with the screens, right? Anybody done that with your family? And then later in the day, you're like, what a tool. I totally just told my kid to do something I'm not willing to do myself. And I'm not here to condemn. I'm here to point out that what I've found in my research, technology is neither good nor evil, right? I can give someone a stick and they build a fire and warm a bunch of people with it. I give someone else the stick and they use it to beat someone over the head. But here's the thing, technology is neither good nor evil, but it's also not inert. And that's why today I want to talk to you about minding the gap. So if you've ever been to the UK and you get on the subway, you probably know this. You come up to the edge of the subway and you hear this beautiful, mellifluous British voice say, mind the gap, mind the gap. And you go, oh, thank you. And someone hands you tea and you stand back so you don't get hit by the train, right? The logic is the gap is that space that you could fall into or get hit by the train. And by the way, I'm from Boston. So in Boston, it's not nearly as nice. It's like, mind the crack. Look out for the crack. Oh my God, get back from the crack. Crack, say no to crack. Just say no to crack. And I'm using this word gap to think about. I'm going to give you 3 examples where I see in my life and potentially in the future with the work I've done in artificial intelligence, 3 gaps, meaning technological gaps that we can fall into. These dangers where right now today, the same behaviors that we've started, either ignoring or not always putting our family first or our humanity first. You have gaps of your own, so you can think about those. But I also want to give you the word GAP as an acronym. And GAP stands for gratitude, altruism, and purpose. And I want to give you tools and exercises, I will, in part 2 of my talk. Part 1 is concerns, part 2 is solutions, where you can actually use these tools from positive psychology, which is an empirical science. It's an extension of traditional psychoanalysis. So you can improve your well-being. And I'll tell you more about that in a minute. So the 3 concerns about technology that I want to talk to you about, I'm going to wrap in this idea of automation. And Maricel mentioned this already, you know, automation, we're used to GPS, maps being automated so we don't have to sit there with a map anymore. Well, I think automation is fantastic in some ways. I think, however, what's happening is we're working so much to automate everything with algorithms that sort of measure us, machine learning algorithms that measure us. We aren't taking the time to say, okay, measure this, automate that, and stop here. This is work I need to do as a human.